أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة ربي والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, my dear brothers and sisters, we thank Allah the Almighty, the creator of the heaven and earth and whatever is in between, the creators of the night and day, the creator of the sky and earth, the creator of everything you could possibly think of. We thank him and we ask him to send his peace and blessing upon our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companion, and whosoever follow his footsteps all the way to the end of the time. May Allah make us among those who would follow this prophet, the last prophet, till the end of the time, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah. In our last talk about the history of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we talk about several things. The pre-Badr incident, the incident that took place before the first Badr, the pre-Badr. We talk about the difference between the type of battles the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam he participated. Every battle the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam participated, we call that al-Ghazwa. And we talk about the battles or the expeditions the Prophet did not participate, we call that a Seerah. Seerah is an expedition that Prophet ﷺ, he delegate some group of people or troops to go to a different place, to get some information about certain areas, but he himself did not participate. We talked about that in our last sitting. We talked about Ghazwatul Sheikh, which is the pre-battle of Badr. Abu Sufyan and his merchandise, they were able to deviate. They were able to avoid Prophet, the companion of Prophet ﷺ, by going to Syria. So Prophet, delegate some group of people to intercept this merchandise. Why? Because Muslims from Mecca, they were persecuted. All the belongings were taken away from them by this Quraysh. They were persecuted. Some of them got killed. Their money were took away from them, their home, everything. So they left Mecca empty-handed. So in return, Prophet wanted this Muslim to at least go and intercept the goods and the merchandise of this Quraysh in order to replace this Muslim's merchandise. So that was called a battle of Ushayra. We talk about that. And we talk about the Sariyah Nakhla, Nakhla, that 8 peoples the Prophet ﷺ delegate. It's an expedition the Prophet ﷺ delegate to go to Nakhla. Nakhla is an area like outside, it's in the outskirts of Mecca, but it's it has like some dates. It's like some date lands. But so Prophet delegates some groups of people to go there and get some information. And we talk about what happened when they come back with some goods, and it was in the month of Rajab. We talked about that last week. But this week, inshallah, we're going to continue. We're still at the pre-battle of Badr. So some events took place like this one, Sariyatul Nakhla, Ghazwatul Ushayra, and so forth. Some other incident that took place, we talk about a Sahaba. His name was Sa'd ibn Mu'az, and we said because when Sa'd ibn Mu'az, passed away, the Arsh, the throne of Allah shook. Why? Because of this man, this really, really tough man passed away. But inshallah, we're going to give a lot of details when we come to that. So this man, the same man, Sa'd ibn Mu'az, we talk about him in several occasions. So Sa'd ibn Mu'az used to be friend with Umayyah ibn Khalaf. Umayyah ibn Khalaf is the one who used to own Bilal. Umayyah, he was a slave owner of Bilal. So this Sa'd ibn Mu'az used to be in times of Jahiliyyah, before the Islam. Sa'd ibn Mu'az used to be very close friend with Umayyah ibn Khalaf. So when Sa'd would come to Mecca to do his tawaf, he would stay with Umayyah ibn Khalaf. And when Umayyah ibn Khalaf would go to Syria, he would pass by Sa'd, in Medina first. At that time, the city was not named Medina, it was named Yathrib. So he would pass by, Umayyah would pass by there before he go to Syria. So they were very close friends. So one time, Saad came to Makkah. He asked Umayyah ibn Khalaf, when would be the great time for me to do tawaf? And Umayyah ibn Khalaf said, well, the great time for you would be in the midday, because that would be a really scorching hot, sunny day. Because at that time everyone would be sleeping or getting some rest and stuff like that, because the sun is very, very hot. So nobody would come to tawaf at that time. And why Umayyah ibn Khalaf is saying that? Because he knows that Saad, he's from Medina, and they are hosting Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Prophet, migrated to Medina, and these people from Medina, they're the one who received Prophet. They, give him a place to stay and food to eat and trying to protect him. So maybe even if he's not Muslim, because at that time they didn't think he was a Muslim. They just thought he was just somebody from Medina who allowed Prophet to live there. And they're protecting him. And so Umayyah ibn Khalaf, so he's saying all that because he knows if Abu Jahl find out, he might get in trouble with Abu Jahl. So when Saad was doing tawaf, he came across with Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl was like, who in their mind would do tawaf at this scorching hot days, in the middays like that? Something must be fishy. He approached Saad and he told him, why are you doing tawaf at this time? As a matter of fact, aren't you guys the one from Medina who accept Prophet, the one who called himself Prophet? You accepted him, you protected him, you let him come to your place. If it wasn't for your friendship with Umayyah ibn Khalaf, I swear I would give you a hard time. I would make your tawaf a living hell. See, this is the opening thread. And as a matter of fact, Mecca, Kaaba, doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone, because Allah said in Quran, وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. Whosoever is in the haram, you are protected. Meaning you have no fears. Nothing should be following you. Even in time of Jahiliyyah, they always respect that. But Abu Jahl, because of his animosity toward Islam, he openly threatened Saad, to torturing him simply because they let Prophet ﷺ go to Medina. And at this time, Abu Jahl didn't even know that Saad was a Muslim. But simply because he's from Medina and they allow Prophet ﷺ to come in. So you see how animosity they have toward Islam? So Saad replied by saying, okay, so if you want to torture me, or if you want to do any harmful things to me simply because I'm doing tawaf, guess what? I would intercept all your caravans going to Syria. I would make sure none of your caravan would go to Syria. I would intercept that. If you could prevent me to come to Kaaba and do tawaf, I would make sure I would prevent all your caravan going to Syria. You see? So that means this will tell you that not only the Muhajirun were thinking of intercepting the caravan, but even some Ansar as well. So that's some of the incident that took place before the Badr. So now, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, before we even talk about what happened in the other side, but what is Badr? What is Badr? Badr is a name of a well where you dig, you get waters from. So it's the name of a well, and this well was in an area. The area was called Badr. The well was called Badr. Why the well was called Badr? Because the person who digged the well, the person who the well belongs to, his name was Badr ibn Yakhrud. That was his name. He was a human being. He's the one who digged the well, and his name was Badr ibn Yakhrud. So because the well belongs to him, they named the well Badr. You see, sometimes when you own something, like for example, look at the car, Toyota. When you said Toyota, you would think Toyota is the name of the car, right? But actually Toyota is the name of the person. So the person who built the car, his last name is Toyota. So they named the car after him. They named the car after him. So that's why the car Toyota got his name from. Same thing like here. Badr is the name of a person who dug the well. His name was Badr. Badr ibn Yakhlud. Then the well took the name of its owner. Not only that, the plain area, the zone, the area that the well was in, all that name were after Badr. The plain of Badr. See, that's where the name of the Badr came from. So, in less than a month before Badr, we talked about the change of Qibla. You know, it's ironic that, Allah allowed Prophet ﷺ to change the Qibla right before the Badr. It's to show him that not only you're going to face Qibla, but at the same time, Badr would be the first stepping stone for you to conquer Mecca. It's like a foreshadowing. Allah is telling him in advance that somehow, some way, you're going to conquer Mecca. So this is the change of Qibla took place 1 month right before Badr. And we said Badr took place in the month of Ramadan. So now we talk about that when the caravan of Abu Sufyan escaped the expedition of Prophet ﷺ going to Syria. Abu Sufyan know well that from Syria now back to Mecca, the Prophet ﷺ would attempt again to intercept the same caravan. He knows that. So he would make some preparation. And Prophet himself also knows somehow, some way, they might change their routes. They might change their route coming from Syria to Mecca. So he would put scouting. Prophet would, have a different scouting to go get some information, or you could call it spies or whatever. So he would, send people to go get a lot of information and about people from Quraysh, what they're doing, what they're planning to do against Muslims, and if they have some caravan coming in and stuff like that. So Prophet would, he would send some troops, deploy some troops to do that kind of job. So Anas ibn Malik, who's Anas ibn Malik? Anas ibn Malik was a very young man when his mother gave him to Prophet to be Khadim Rasul, meaning to be the worker for Prophet. This young man, he was at Prophet's household since he was 10 years old, or maybe less. He would work for Prophet. Whatever Prophet needs in terms of little thing here and there, this young man would do it. So he grew up literally in the Prophet's house. And Anas would say it in his hadith. Anas said that Prophet would send scouting to get some information about Quraysh. He said one time 2 people came in from scouting team. Now they want to give some information to Prophet ﷺ. And Prophet would make sure nobody's in the room to listen to what these 2 people have to say. He would, make sure everyone leave except him, Anas. So Anas said Prophet completely, he made sure everyone is left the room when he was receiving this 2 scouting team, these 2 men, to give him the report. But only Anas was left in the room with these 2 men and the Prophet himself. Why Anas was left with Prophet? Because Anas said he was at that age, he was only 10 years old, maybe younger, so 10 years old, and Prophet trusts him. So, and this two scout team would inform Prophet that they spot caravan coming in. They spot some caravan coming in, and they are in such and such place. So they would inform Prophet ﷺ. And in another narration, you would find that in Muslim, hadith of Muslim, that some scouting team, some spy team, would come to Prophet ﷺ and tell Prophet that they spot some caravan coming in from Syria, and this caravan has about 1,000 camels full of goods. 1,000 of camels, they're all loaded up with the goods and merchandise. So Prophet would come out, he would gather everyone and say, anyone who is ready to follow me, whatever you got, whether you have a sword, you have a horse or camels, right now as we speak, let's just go. It is an emergency. So let us leave now We're not going to wait for anyone. If you're ready, just come with me. If you're not ready, don't bother. Some people would say, oh, let me just go get my horse. This. The Prophet said, no. If you're ready right now, come with me. So he gathered some groups of people, some Muslims, and they followed him. He didn't tell them where they're going. Why he didn't tell them where they're going? Because Prophet knows in Medina, there are a lot of people who are not Muslims. They're against Muslims. They're against Islam. So if he has to openly come to the public and tell them, oh, we are going to such and such place because of this, there'll be some people among the people who would run off and tell the pagan or tell the disbeliever about the plan, the Prophet ﷺ plans. So because of that, he would not tell anyone, where he was doing, or where he was going, or what he was doing. So, and we talk about it, that prophets had two types of enemy: the internal enemy and the external enemy. The external enemy were the Quraysh, and the internal enemy were the Jewish and some of the and the hypocrite, and disbelievers. But at this time, those were disbelievers, but they haven't become a hypocrite yet. Why? Because after Badr, those who were disbeliever, then they have no other choice, because they would just act like they're Muslim. They would accept Islam even though they don't like Islam. So they're the one who became, from disbeliever, they became hypocrite. So Prophet gathered this group of people and he left with them. They came to a place, he put up his tent, he make his tent, and now he starts scouting his team. He starts scouting people who left with what, how many horses they have, how many camels they have, and this and that. And then he realized, out of this group of people, some people said there were 310 and some. So some people would say this group of people were 310 people. Some people would say this group of people were 313. Some would say 315 people. Allahu A'lam. But among this group, Prophet ﷺ noticed two young boys. Two very young boys. And so he's telling this two young boy, you two have to return back to Medina. You two young boy has to return to Medina. And who were these two young boys? The two young boys were Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, Abdullah ibn Umar. And the second one was Bara ibn Azib and Abdullah ibn Umar. Those were the two young boys that Prophet ﷺ told them to go back to Medina. Why? Because they were too young to be in this battle. Prophet was not even expecting a battle. He was just expecting a confiscation of goods and merchandise from Abu Sufyan. Simple. But he was not expecting any battles. That's why the Muslims came out not prepared for battles. They just came out just to confiscate this goods, from Abu Sufyan. And this 1,000 camel full of goods, there were only 40 people who were protecting this from Quraysh part, from the pagan part. So Abu Sufyan and his merchandise were only protected by 40 men. So that's literally nothing. So that's why Prophet ﷺ, he gathered about 300 and some said 315, 313, 310 men to go intercept this merchandise. So according to many scholars, this man that came out with Prophet ﷺ, 315, 313 or whatever number, was the exact same number of how many messengers that Allah sent. There are some riwayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent 313 prophets. 313 prophets. And 124,000 prophets. Allah sent 124,000 prophets, but out of those 124,000, 313 were messengers. So messenger and prophet are different. We talked about that in our previous lesson also, the difference between messengers and prophet. But so 313 messengers. And also in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about Talut Talut was a king for Bani Israel when he was fighting Jalut, the Goliath, the Goliath that Dawood alayhi salam killed. So when Talut was preparing his army against the Goliath, Jalut, Allah tested them with the river. So and he said, if anyone drink from that river, would not be part of this army, except that those who just take just a full amount of water in their hands and drink it. If that is it, then they could follow. But anyone who drink enough water would not follow. So the army that were truly followers of Talut were the same numbers of 313 as the people who just who are out with Prophet ﷺ. So same numbers. Talut army 313, prophets Sahaba who are coming out with Prophet in Badr are also 313, and the number of the messengers are also 313. Allahu A'lam. But according to Ibn Ishaq, the books that I'm reading and I'm getting all this information from, according to Ibn Ishaq, there are 315 most likely. And he said, out of this 315, 83 were muhajirun, meaning those who left their home from Mecca to Medina, who migrated from Mecca to Medina. Al-Muhajirun, there were 83 of them. 62 were from Aus, and we said there were two big tribes from Arab in Medina, Aus and Khazraj. We talked about them. So 62 out of 62 people from Aus and 170 from Khazraj. Why Khazraj number were pretty much double the Aus? Because Khazraj were more populated than Aus, and Khazraj were the first group that accepted Islam before Aus also. And Khazraj are the poor one. They don't have much because there are they are farmers. But when it comes to Aus are the people who do business, so their own businesses. So, but al-Muhim, 83 from Muhajirun, 62 from Aus, and 170 from Khazraj. So when you add up, it would become 315 people. So those are the men who came with Prophet ﷺ to intercept the caravan of Abu Sufyan. So out of this 315 also, there were only 2 horsemen, 2 horses out of this 315. And those horses belonged to Zubair ibn Awam and Miqdad ibn Aswad. Zubair ibn Awam and Miqdad ibn Aswad. And they had about maybe less than 100 camels. Less than 100 camels in this, among these 315 people. So 3 people per camel. 3 people would share 1 camel. So because of that, Prophet ﷺ and Ali ibn Abi Talib and Abu Lubaba were sharing 1 camel. Look at the hikmah, look at how wise Prophet ﷺ is. So just put yourself in this position. Imagine you are traveling with Prophet and you're sharing 1 camel, 3 of you. Prophet would take a turn, he would ride the camels, and you guys would walk. And then once you reach a certain area, Prophet would get off, and one of you would get on the camels, and Prophet would walk while you're riding camel. Subhanallah, subhanallah. Imagine that. You think that's possible? Allahu Akbar. That's what Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, and Abu Lubaba felt. They said, "Oh, Ya Rasulullah, how can we ride the camels while you're walking? How's that even possible? We can't. You're the prophet. You're the messenger. We would never ride a camels or any, any animals. We would never ride on their back, and you walking. That's not gonna happen." And look at the hikmah. Look at the response of Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said, "So you 2 things, you 2, meaning Ali and Abu Lubaba, you think you 2 are very stronger than me? You think you 2 are stronger than me?" Because at that time Ali was in his mid-20, maybe 25, 26, 27. And Abu Lubaba, we don't know his age because the Ibn Ishaq didn't talk about his age. So, but at that time, Prophet was 55 years old. 55 years old. But still, maybe it is. It could be because Prophet usually, the Prophet that Allah sent, they are very strong people. So strong, yeah, physically, Prophet could be stronger than both of them, But Prophet is telling them, you two are not stronger than me. And not only that, you two are not in need of Allah's reward than me. Meaning, the way you need Allah's reward, I need Allah's reward as well. So we all going to jihad. We're all doing this for Allah's sake. So whatever you do for Allah's sake, that goes to your mizan. That reward is for you. But what I'm doing now, the fact that I'm walking and you guys are riding, I'm doing this for Allah's sake. I'm not doing this for my sake. So it is a worship for me. So whatever you are in need of Allah's reward, I am also in need of Allah's reward. Allah Akbar. You see that hikmah? If you try this, you bring this back to to today, to our nowadays. Our so-called sheikh. Some of them would, let their students or whatever, massage them, you do all this, heinous things. They would exploit those students. Sometimes people even think they're God. They're sheikh sometimes, So they exploit their environment. Everything is under the name of Islam. Nowadays, sheikh, Allah Akbar. Just think about it. How Prophet used to be among his Sahaba. He would eat with them, he would drink with them, he would joke with them, he would do everything. He would make them comfortable. But nowadays, if someone is a sheikh, look at their students or whatever. They would treat them like God. The student or people would treat them like God. Some even, ask them to, they don't even tell them, make dua for me. They would ask them for things that only God could do. Oh, I want babies. I want baby, so my wife cannot give birth. So I want baby. Thinking that this sheikh would give them baby. Or thinking that this sheikh could make them rich. And this and that. Allahu Akbar. So some of this sheikh became, an object of worship. So we have to be really careful. That's why we need to learn from Prophet ﷺ how he behaved among his Sahaba, how he acted among his Sahaba. That's why it is an obligation upon every Muslim to know the history of your Prophet. He was sent to you. He was sent to all mankind. So know his behavior. Know how he acts. So that way you get to appreciate, someone that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala honored in real life. So this is how Prophet ﷺ acted. He told, Ali ibn Abi Talib and Abu Lubaba, he said, we're gonna take turn. Yes. I'll be on the camels, then I'll get up, you get on, and then we're gonna share the ride. Because we all in need of Allah's reward. This is the example. This is the greatest example we could show to our ummah. Same thing, Umar ibn Khattab learned this hikmah. He learned this being humble like that. Umar learned that from Prophet ﷺ. You see, that's why when the Muslim, when they did Fathu Baitul Maqdis, when they opened Baitul Maqdis, Umar was coming and he had his slave with him. Umar would share camels with his slave. When Umar would ride the camels, the slave would walk. When they reached certain distance, Umar would get off. His slave would get on the camels, and Umar would walk. And the slave would say, no, I can't do that. You're a master. Umar said, no. We agree upon this. So you're gonna do it. I have to share a ride with you. So you ride on the camels, and then it'll be my turn. So when they reached Baitul Maqdis, it was the slave turn. So Umar got off the camels, and the slave, ride the camels, and Umar was walking. So when they reached Baitul Maqdis, people were shocked. So they thought the one on top of the camel, riding the camel, is Umar. The one walking is the slave. You see it? And when they found out that Umar was the walking and he let the slave ride, they couldn't believe it. They said, wow, what a humble people. How could you be this humble and get defeated by the disbeliever? It's impossible. So this is how we're supposed to be in our religion. Learn from this Sahaba, learn from Prophet himself, and better ourselves, not to think that you're better than anyone. You're not. Allah said in Quran, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Inna akramakum indallah atqakum. The best of you are those who fear Allah. You're not the best simply because you are imam. You're not the best simply because you could recite the entire Quran and someone cannot. You're not the best. That's a fadlullah. That is the blessing of Allah. But it doesn't make you better unless you have a fear of Allah. So you find many people who are very more knowledgeable in this religion, but they don't act upon it. They're the worst. You would find some people who knows more about religion and they have taqwa. So it's pretty much about taqwa. Knowledge and taqwa goes hand to hand. Once you have once you have a lot of knowledge and you have no taqwa, it's not going to benefit you. Even if you don't have knowledge, but you have a taqwa, it would benefit you. So the best of you are those who fear Allah, who has Allah's consciousness. See, this is the lesson we get from Prophet ﷺ by sharing the camel ride with Ali and Abu Lubaba. So in this event, there was a guy, Sahaba. His name is Huzaifa ibn Yaman, and we said Huzaifa ibn Yaman used to keep all the secret of Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet told him some secrets and asked him not to tell. So they call him, one of his nicknames was the one who kept the secret of Prophet ﷺ. So all the munafiqun, all the hypocrites in Medina, Prophet named each and every one to Huzayf ibn Yaman. And Prophet asked him to keep it secret, not to tell anyone about them. Till Prophet passed away, this man has all the name of the hypocrites in Medina. At some point, Umar would come to Huzayf ibn Yaman and ask him, he said, could you please tell me about all the hypocrites so I would know them? And he would say, no, I will not tell you, Umar. It doesn't matter what you do, I'm not going to tell you. This is the secret of Prophet. And at some point, Umar kept asking him. Umar said, okay, so I'm not even asking you to tell me the names of those hypocrites, but at least the names that Prophet gave you, do you have my name among those? At some point, Huzaifa said, Umar, could you please leave me alone? Your name is not among those. Just leave it alone. You see how Umar was scared to even be mentioned as one of the hypocrites. So hypocrisy is the worst. That's what Allah said in Quran. Those who are hypocrite are in the low pit of the hellfires. Lowest. Being hypocrite to show that you are Muslim, but in reality you're not Muslim, you don't like Islam, those are hypocrite. So Huzayf ibn Yaman and his father, Al-Yaman ibn Hakim, did not participate in Badr. Why? Because there was a time when Huzayf ibn Yaman and his father, the pagan, caught them at some point, but they released them by telling them that, by saying, so you're going to give us a promise if we are fighting against Prophet Muhammad and his people, we don't want you guys to get involved. Don't help him over us. That would be, the promise, then we release you. So they promised this Quraysh, this pagan, that they would not fight anyone. They would not help Muhammad over these people. That was his promise. So Prophet said, okay, so you have to keep your promise. So because of this, even if you promise someone who is not Muslim, you always have to keep your promise. It doesn't matter whether they're Muslim or not. A promise is a promise. See, in our society today, many people don't keep their promise. Muslims don't keep their promise. They tell you something today, they would go back and undo their promise. They would go back and undo their promise. That is absolutely not right. And Allah said, keep your promise. Keep your promise that you took, because Allah is going to ask you about that promise. So this is one of our biggest issues today. You trust someone with something that will always do something wrong. You promise someone, or someone promised you something, they would undo their promise. See, that's what Prophet is telling this, Huzaifa and his father, keep your promise. You promise them you're not gonna get involved, so don't get involved. Just stay as neutral. So sometimes, so this is what happened on that part. But when Prophet ﷺ was living, Medina with this group of people, to go intercept Abu Sufyan's good merchandise. There was a guy, but Ibn Ishaq did not mention the name of this guy. He said there was a guy who followed Prophet, and he wanted to participate in this battle. And Prophet said, "Are you going to witness that Allah is one and I'm His messenger?" The man said, "No." Prophet said, "So if that's the case, you cannot be with us. You cannot fight with us." And Prophet said, "So you're going to have to go back." And the man came back again, and Prophet said, "So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to testify that Allah is one and I'm His messenger?" The man said, "No." And Prophet said, "You have to go back." Till 3 times. The 3rd time, the man said, "Okay, fine. I'll testify that Allah is one, mean La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I testify you are the messenger of Allah." And now Prophet said, "Okay, now you could join us." So the man joined them. So in this case, a lot of scholars differ in these matters. Some scholars said, because in this hadith, Prophet said, "Inna la nasta'inu bil mushrik." Prophet said, we do not help ourselves with disbelievers. We do not help ourselves, meaning we do not help Islam with disbelievers. So when someone is a mushrik, Islam doesn't need your help. But sometimes people would say, well, when someone is not Muslim or non-Muslim, when they give something to Muslim, can you accept it or not? Yes, you could accept it if it's a gift. You could accept it. But it's different when you're accepting the religion itself. Let's say if a non-believer is coming and trying to help you guys with the religious matters. But if it's like your daily personal life matters, that's fine. But when it comes to religious, it's different. Some even said, when it comes to religion, no, we do not seek help from those who do not believe. We do not tell them to help us, progress the religion or help the religion. No. But when it comes to your own personal life, yes, you could help them. They could help you because that's just a personal life. That has nothing to do with the religion. But when it comes to religion, we do not help ourselves with those who disbelieve. And some scholars said no. It is only when it comes to a jihad, because Prophet is telling the guy, no, you cannot come with us because you're not Muslim. So we're going to jihad, so you can't participate. And some scholars said, so what about the time when Prophet ﷺ left Mecca with Abu Bakr, and they have a guide? This guide was named Abdullah ibn Urayqid. Abdullah ibn Urayqid, we talked about him. He was the guide. He was the young man who guided Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr, from Mecca to Medina, because he knew the all the hidden roads. He knew all the hidden routes in the desert, so he would guide Abu Bakr and Prophet away from Quraysh. Even though this man, Abdullah ibn Urayqid, was not a Muslim at that time, even though he was guiding Prophet and Abu Bakr, but he was not a Muslim. But Abu Bakr hired him to guide them, and Abu Bakr would pay him, even though he's a pagan. So what about that? How come he was able to help Prophet and Abu Bakr, to get to Medina, but yet he's not a Muslim? So why Prophet benefit from his help? So was that not a religion reason? Some people would ask that question, and some people would say no, that was more like a personal, because but when it comes to providing religious things or whatever, it's no. But al-muhim, the bottom line is this: when it comes to actual religion matters, we do not seek. But